Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you guys are with me. Hope you're having a good week so far. I got to tell you, it's a stellar week for conservatism. It's a stellar week for Donald Trump. It's a stellar week for all the people in the Trump food chain who've been accused of all kinds of malfeasance. You know what we're finding out? Well, you know what? Let's just recap. Starting with Weinstein, the dam started to break. Hollyweird was on notice. Suddenly, sexual abuse and misconduct was in the mainstream. And we know who owns Hollywood. Picture after picture of these lecherous Democrats all hugging on Weinstein. Even his accusers all hugging on Weinstein. Then we find out that it's not just women. No, Kevin Spacey, he's all into the boys. So is Charlie Sheen. So are many others. And all Hollywood is a pucker. Am I going to be the one next? It's not over. It's still looming out there. But you know what the beauty of it is? It intertwined between politics and pop culture. Because the stars want to be part of the political scene. You've got De Niro and Damon and Barbra Streisand, all these entertainers and Hollyweirdos that want to, feel like they're part of it. Even what was his name? George Clooney. They all want to be a part of the political scene. And then, of course, all the politicos want to be a part of the Hollywood scene. And suddenly none of them want to be a part of the scene. None of them can be seen. Because now we know the deal. And by the way, it is nowhere near over. Once the bow breaks and we find out the level of debauchery of these people, you know what's going to come back? All that Pizzagate crap that everybody dismissed. All the pedophile rings. Things like that. We're starting to hear about those stories. Yeah, they just busted a big pedophile ring in Disney. We'll talk about it. So things are starting to happen. Things are occurring. People are starting to get smarter. They no longer believe the media. What was the guy's name? The ABC correspondent. Does it really matter? Whether it's Brian Williams or Brian Ross or whomever, what we do know is that they want to fit a narrative, or they want to be bigger than the news like Brian Williams or maybe Stephanopoulos or many others. We find out, folks, they're part of the system. They're part of the dirt. We've learned this. They colluded with the DNC. 65 people colluded to make sure Hillary won. And what happened? She got her butt kicked. She lost. The gods are conspiring against the left. Finally, God has said, you know what? Enough of Sodom and Gomorrah. What do we find out recently? We find out that the FBI that we know is crooked, when Comey sat there and explained that, I remember getting more and more jubilant every sentence he read. I was like, oh, right, they're finally going to throw the book at her. And then we find out, well, it was no longer gross negligence, but, slap on the wrist time. And we're sitting there jaw agape going, what are you talking about? How can you possibly delete 33,000 emails, bleach bit your hard drives, take a hammer to them, have your own server that you claim doesn't have classified information? We find out through the emails that didn't manage to get through the system that you did do that. Those emails are then determined that they had the highest levels of classification, at least 6 of them. And I could go on, and you've denied it. Then we got meetings at Tarmac that everybody goes, oh, they're just happenstance. And then she doesn't serve a day in prison, not even indicted, and looks at it as some vast right-wing conspiracy. Meanwhile, Mike Flynn, he's taking the fall. Why? Because he's a Republican. He's a stand-up guy. He's not going to let other people take the fall for what he did, so he's willing to take his punishment. But meanwhile, if you don't think the world is noticing what's going on with these people, you are crazy. We finally got something leaching down to the level of the minions, the sodomites, the lowest common denominator of voter that's watching this stuff. And the left want to still pass these people off as reasonable. We've got a war on men that's occurring right before our eyes. But you know what? It isn't a war on conservative men. Oh, they can bring up Roger Ailes. They can bring up O'Reilly. Bring up whoever you want. The war on men is Weinstein, Bill Clinton, Conyers, who resigned, Al Franken, who's going to still remain under fire, We're going to take these guys out one by one. They're going to be eunuchs, useless in the political process. You know what's going to be left? It's going to be nothing but a bunch of wicked women. And the distance between them and the true ladies of this world, the conservative women, could not be more stark. We know exactly how far apart they are. They are light years apart. We have women of character on our side. They don't. They have people that will step on their husbands. They will cut off their husbands' naughty bits to get ahead. And most of them have done it. Bill Clinton is as cuckold as they come. So I'm watching this play out. Donald Trump, President Trump says, this system is crooked. It's corrupt. It needs to be drained. It needs to be rebuilt from the bottom up. We have 2 senators leaving. They're leaving trying to pretend that, oh, well, look at that Donald Trump. He's crazy. They've sided with the dark side. And you know what this history is going to write about them? They're idiots. Look at the people that are starting to come in line. We talked about it yesterday. Orrin Hatch and others saying, you know what? Best president I've worked for. Gets it done. Doesn't let things stand in his way. He's undoing everything he promised to do, and he's showing you how crooked this system is. I'll ask you this question, folks. Do you believe we would be getting to the bottom of this if Hillary Clinton had won? What do you think we'd be dealing with? What world would you have? If you don't believe there is a God, if there's one of you out there that's a naysayer, I promise you, you show me something that shows how God's divine hand in something that's better than this, because I want to see it. He's exposing all their dirt. Trump won because he had to win. And for those of you who want to remain naysayers, I don't really care. I'm not going to lecture you. Do what you want. But you ask yourself, what would we be uncovering? And I've told anybody that's willing to listen, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again today. People think that man is dumb. Keep thinking and underestimate him. How many people have you underestimated in your life that showed you something? People said to me, Kevin, Donald Trump, Mueller's not, he's not a team player. He's a lefty. And oh my gosh, he's hiring all those leftists. And I said, Trump's not worried about that because he's got the truth on his side. And let me tell you, when Mueller keeps investigating, what's going to happen is they're going to snake bite themselves. And I'll be a son of a gun if I'm not right about it. And I tweeted to Donald Trump and to others. I said, let me tell you, this man knew exactly what he was doing when he let these snakes bite themselves.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville. Can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
The world, it is a changing. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. LA Weekly. You ever heard of this periodical? It's not Louisiana. Talking about Los Angeles. And I see a tweet by a lady named Jennifer Wright. And in case you don't know who Jennifer Wright is, she's the author of something called It Ended Badly and another book called Get Well Soon. And she's got a book upcoming called Killer Fashion. She's a feminist. Beautiful Screaming Lady is the way she titles herself on her Twitter feed. So she has this thing that she puts out, and you may be wondering why I'll get to the point, all right? And it says, LA Weekly fired their staff in favor of unpaid, quote, contributors. If you are an aspiring writer and you submit to them, you are ensuring it becomes impossible to make a living in this field. Now, let me tell you something. There have been people who have been writing for a long time and they don't make any money. Contributors. I am not a writer who got a journalism degree. And I've written 3 best-selling books. And I have a moderately successful blog, if you want to call it that, a website. People hate when I call it a blog because it's kind of blasé now. But I have a website where I write multiple times a day, posting articles, my take on certain things. You guys go there, theblacksphere.net. And I make money on my website. I'm not at the behest of any editors, of any brand. I don't. LA Weekly does it. I don't need to go to LA Weekly and say, "Will you please take my stuff and write and put it out there so I could get some." I don't need any notoriety. Would I want some more? Sure, but I don't need it. And when I started my blog, I was an unpaid contributor, and then I made a living from it. It actually is a fairly significant piece of our income. But this lady, she's upset that LA Weekly said, you know what? We can't make a living with staff of paid writers. There's too much competition out there. But if you want to be a contributor and you want to tell us what's going on in LA, we'll move it forward. Now, let me tell you what Breitbart did. Andrew, we talked about it when he started Breitbart.com. And he says to me, he goes, Kevin, I only pay my editors. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, I don't pay writers. Now, they probably do now, but they didn't at first. And he said, that's the only way I can survive. But it's not only survived, it thrived. But see, this leftist, this feminist, she wants somebody to guarantee it for them. And then if you decide, you know what, I'll take that risk. I'll go in there and I'll write and I'll see what happens and let the chips fall where they may. Oh, you're ensuring it becomes impossible to make a living in this field because you know what? If there are contributing writers, people giving it away, how could you possibly make a living? She needs to go back to the days of slavery. So people want to do it. They want to do it for whatever reasons. They're aspiring writers. They want to cut their teeth at something new. How could you do it? Don't be surprised if they start forcing people to pay minimum wage on the internet. You got to pay your writers minimum wage. Okay. But anyway, what was funny, so she put that and I tweeted back to her, I hope illegals take those jobs. Yeah, I hope illegals start writing and they everywhere there's a contributor, I hope the Raul Gonzalez or one of his kinfolks takes that job. You watch how fast leftists will decry illegal immigration suddenly. These people are incorrigible. When it suits them, they want you to, you shouldn't go over there and write because that's just unfair, said the writer, said the lecherous leftist writer. Let me tell you, as a writer myself now, and I write just as good as she does. I don't care how good she writes. I write just as good. But anyway, here's the deal. I wouldn't care. You want to build a website? We have writers that volunteer. They submit articles all the time. I don't need, I have paid writers. I mean, we do pay writers, but some of our writers don't make a nickel. They're happy to write because it's notoriety for them. They don't write often enough to say, I want to be on payroll. So they'll submit a piece once a week or once every whatever. That's how it works. And for those who say, you know what, I want to move up to the next level, I start tutoring them. Here's what you want to do. Here's how you have to write. If you make the cut, great. If you don't, no harm, no foul. But these people want a guarantee. Yeah. They don't want to cast fate to the wind. Don't you go over there and write for free, because then that's going to mess everything up for me. You know who else said stuff like that? The unions. Don't you go drop your rates, black man that's freed. Don't you do it, because you'll undercut me. And then I'm going to have to get that KKK after you. I'm going to have to figure out a way to make sure you conform. We'll have to form a writer's guild. The only way you can write is if you're in a writer's guild. If you do that, if you do anything other than that, you're a scab. We'll boycott your paper, your online newspaper or whatever. That's what they're looking to do. Because that's what leftists do. They don't want to compete. They don't want to compete in the world of ideas. LA Weekly, come on. How many websites do you know that are conservative? I mean, there's got to be 100 at least. I'm talking about, I could probably name conservatively 25. And so there's the biggies, Drudge and, Daily Caller, Breitbart, PJ Media, Western Journal. And I mean, I could name some, Gateway Pundit. I could name a bunch of the big ones. And then you get into the second tier strata stuff, which are good sized, blogs. They're getting 10 million hits a month. And then you get down there to where I'm at. And there's a lot of us bottom feeders. But you know what? We're making fractional pennies on 2-3 million hits a month. So you get a decent little paycheck and life is good. You're not going to pay for the kids. You're not going to pay for the summer home, but it's not bad. But what does the left do? They have to lament their situation. Anybody stopping her? Oh, I wrote a couple of books. I'm too lazy to write every day. Well, then get out. Don't call yourself a writer. Go get a regular job. But don't be lamenting this company and their move. Was she putting any money at risk, having these people on payroll? The answer is no. And as far as unpaid contributors, are they putting a gun to anybody's head to say, come write for us? The answer is no. So that's the free market. Maybe there are really, really good writers that get paid to write elsewhere. Go there. Go to the Daily Kos or Huffington Post or wherever you decide is the better, writers that you want to read their stuff. But if you want to get a start, go to LA Weekly. I bet they get some fresh stuff. I bet they get a take on things that they haven't had in a long time because they got all these, educated writers. This is why I can't stand lefties. Always looking for some escape, a way out, an excuse. Grow up, whatever your name is.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. The Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. You folks are writing in and you're saying, Kevin, what's the theme for the show? I know I've been theming these shows, and it comes to me from God. Everything that I say on this show, by the way, comes to me from God. Everything. It truly does. It was funny. I was headed to, I don't know, it was one of the studio hits I was going to do, and I always do this, so you guys are aware. I always do this before I go on TV. I just ask God, please give me the words that you want me to say. In other words, I don't want to be out there. Some people say, Kevin, why don't you plug your book? I got asked this recently, and I went, why would I plug my book? I mean, do I want to sell books? Yeah. Do I, need the income? Yeah. But I'm not going to go on TV and plug my book. What I'm going to do is go do the things that I believe promotes what God has put inside of me to push out there, which I think is what you guys are saying. You're tired of being persecuted. You're tired of being persecuted for being Christians, for being good people. And so that's what I do. So anyway, I want the theme today to be boldness. I haven't talked about what the theme was, and you guys are jumping on me. My producer's like, Kevin, Facebook says you got to talk about something. So boldness. I want to talk about boldness. And in my very first book, The Big Black Lie, I was very naive growing up. I was this stupid kid that thought everybody was like me. And that's what's funny about that is you outgrow that. Leftists don't outgrow that, particularly black leftists. They believe everybody's like them. Everybody is, ethnocentrically, I was going to say egocentrically for those of you who thought I messed the word up. Well, shame on you. No, they're now I can't even get it out. They're ethnocentric races who believe that all black people have to think alike when it comes to politics. We don't have to think alike about, what favorite baseball team, basketball team, whatever, but we got to think alike in politics. And I think that's the most ridiculous thing on the planet is that somebody says, well, Kevin, you're black. You're supposed to think like this. No, I'm supposed to think like a human being, a sane individual who can follow the logic of stuff. And I'm willing to say what I want and speak with boldness. And I always crack up at these people that want to make it out that when you stand for principle, you're the sellout. The whistleblower, the guy who witnesses something happening bad. This isn't just a black issue, folks. This is an issue of America. We claim that we want the person to champion the cause. And the minute somebody goes away from the group, then people already start to go, well, there goes old Kevin. You see what he's going to do. He wants to stand out. Even in this movement right here, what we fight every single day, black conservatives are secretly jealous that I get on TV more than they do, or I do a radio, or something blows up. Let me tell you, I watch guys like Larry Elder's a friend of mine. So I watch Larry go on Hannity. I used to do a lot of Hannity. Sean's using Larry more now. And people are like, Kevin, I want to see you more on Hannity. I'm like, why? Larry's on there. That dude is bright. Why? Look, I know we have differing views on things. In fact, he and I were both on Hannity when Judge Jeanine was on recently. We have different sides of the argument, but we agree. And yes, do I add something to it? Sure, but Larry's perfectly capable of doing that. And I have no animosity, not an ounce of jealousy. When Larry got his position at SRN, Salem Radio Network, I wanted to chop him off the knee. No, I'm kidding. I was happy for him. I sent Larry a tag for his radio show that said something along the lines of the only guy that may be better at radio than I am. That's the kind of person I am. And that's boldness. That's saying, if you can do it better, go for it, man. I'm willing to, I remember when I talked to the people over at Salem and I was in contention for the show and I didn't get it. I was like, good choice with Larry. And I meant it. That the boldness is being able to say, you know what? Congratulations. I didn't get it, but that's okay. God has a different plan for me. So I just look at these things and I say to myself, where's the boldness? Well, let me tell you where it is. One of the things I didn't talk about in the earlier segment, Jerusalem is boldness. That's Donald Trump saying, to hell with you. To hell with the world and all these Israel, anti-Jews, the leftism that has bought into this idea that Islam is the way to go and the Jews are just, a handful of Jews. I don't know how many Jews are around the world, but there aren't that many. And they're persecuting the 1.5 plus billion Arabs around the world. What are you talking about? And I get a few naysayers on my social media. Kevin, the Jews don't want them to have a settlement and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, Israel's got a little bitty piece of land. The Arabs got a ton of land. So don't tell me they can't figure it out. Well, it's all desert. Really? Tell Dubai that. Dubai took ocean and made a paradise. So don't tell me they can't do it. They have the ingenuity. They have the money. They have the wherewithal. Why do they want that little patch of land? And so Donald Trump does what 3 other presidents promised to do and didn't do, and suddenly the left has a problem. Well, there is no problem any longer. It took boldness to say, I don't care what you say around the world. I don't care this capitulation to the Arabs. And oh, by the way, if Islam is a religion of peace, why the long faces? Why is it always now they're threatening? Oh, if Israel is made, Jerusalem's made the capital of Israel, then there's going to be hell to pay. Okay, why? I thought you were the religion of peace. I thought we could all just get along. So, what a bold move. And Netanyahu made a statement to the president, and here it is.
This is a historic day. Jerusalem has been the capital of the Jewish people for 3,000 years. It's been the capital of Israel for nearly 70 years. It was here that our temple stood, our kings ruled, our prophets preached. Jerusalem has been the focus of our hopes, our dreams, our prayers for 3 millennia. From every corner of the earth, our people yearn to return to Jerusalem, to touch its golden stones, to walk its hallowed streets. So it's rare to be able to speak of new and genuine milestones in the glorious history of this city. Yet today's pronouncement by President Trump is such an occasion. We're profoundly grateful for the president for his courageous and just decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to prepare for the opening of the U.S. Embassy here. This decision reflects the president's commitment to an ancient but enduring truth, to fulfilling his promises, and to advancing peace. The president's decision is an important step towards peace, for there is no peace that doesn't include Jerusalem as the capital of the state of Israel. I call on all countries that seek peace to join the United States in recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and to move their embassies here. I share President Trump's commitment to advancing peace between Israel and all of our neighbors, including the Palestinians. This has been our goal from Israel's first day, and we will continue to work with the president and his team to make that dream of peace come true. I also want to make clear there will be no change whatsoever to the status quo at the holy sites. Israel will always ensure freedom of worship for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. President Trump, thank you for today's historic decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The Jewish people and the Jewish state will be forever grateful.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So sometime in the first part of the year, next year, I'm going to be headed to Israel. In fact, I'm going to try to time it to where it's the opening of the U.S. Embassy. Now, I know people are, Kevin, it's going to be dangerous. Huh? Let me tell you, it's going to be the safest place in the world. The Israelis are going to be protecting that place like crazy. But it's some things that I'm working with the Israeli consulate. And so I want to time it around that. I want to be part of these groundbreaking decisions, not for selfish reasons, but because I think it's important. The reason why, in fact, I had gone to ZOA up in New York, I've been to Paris for the Iranian resistance, is I know this world wants to right itself. And there are good people out there wanting to make this happen. And it takes bold. I know it sounds really trite that President Trump was going to name Israel, say that the U.S. recognizes Jerusalem as the capital city of Israel, blah, 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 whatever, and puts an embassy there. But it is a huge deal symbolically. And I'll tell you something. We talk often about peace in the Middle East, and it's become a joke. Hey, I'm going to get world peace like it's Miss America and all that. This is the closest that we've come to doing that. And what's interesting is President Trump is calling these people out. He's saying, okay, you've been threatening to do something. Let's see exactly what you do, Arabs. If you're the religion of peace, let's watch what you do. When the minute you attack Israel, you're going to prove that you are no longer the religion that, well, they never were, but they're going to prove it. And he's daring them to do it. I know what's going on here. I'm not saying he's trying to incite a war, but I'm just saying that's my take. President is saying, if you are the religion of peace, we're going to find out.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. So, one of my buddies is a country and western singer. His name is Travis Tritt. And Travis came through town, and I went to dinner with him. And he's in a bit of a Twitter battle with Beyonce. And it was over nothing, because Travis said of country music, why are y'all, they were having a country music award. I think it was like the 50th or the 70th anniversary. I think it was the 50th. And they wanted to bring Beyonce in or something. Travis is like, why? Why are we doing all this stuff with hip hop artists and all this? They don't, it's not like the hip hop awards don't care about us. And he's like, and by the way, this is the 50th anniversary of country music. We should be talking about making an homage to all the old greats, as opposed to bringing in, I think they wanted to bring in Beyonce. And it was strictly a ratings thing. And Travis is going, like, that's our demographic. That does nothing to promote country music. And he says that, and everybody called him a racist. So the Beehive, which is the people that love Beyonce, they attack Travis as a racist. And he's like, look, I said nothing that's racist. And Travis's wife is, number one, she's a drop dead gorgeous, but she's, she's like, I don't know what race, but she's definitely got some black, maybe a quarter black. She looks American Indian a little bit. I mean, she's beautiful. And so Travis is like, what y'all talking about? I got all these biracial kids. He's got 3 kids. And his kids are, as we jokingly say to him, lucky they take after mom. 2 sons, beautiful daughter. Daughter can sing like she's a songbird. He just got it going on. But it just cracked me up because, he was like, man, yeah, it's hard to believe I get called a racist and I got biracial kids. And I was laughing. And of course, here's his, he's out here coming through town and has dinner with his black buddy because he hates black people so bad. So, he's got better things to do, but he decided, hey, let's go to dinner. So anyway, the reason why I bring that up is because Kaepernick was given the Sports Illustrated Muhammad Ali Award, and they surprised him with Beyonce coming out and giving him the award. And it reminded me of the story because Travis is going, it's a publicity stunt. So it's a sports award. And the surprise is the Queen Bee is going to come out and give him the award. What? Really? When you think about the political correct nature of sports, think about that. That sports says, let's go get a singer who's got nothing to do with sports unless you like her X performance during the Super Bowl. And another ethnocentric racist, Beyonce, and they say, let's intermingle that with giving Colin Kaepernick an award he doesn't deserve. And I just thought, well, why not Michelle Obama? Oh, wait, she's too busy looking for a new husband. You believe that? God. It bugs me. I don't know. And I'm probably overstating it, but because I don't really care. I didn't watch it. I heard Melissa was listening to a clip of it where Colin Kaepernick gives a speech and he says, I don't take this award for me. I did this for y'all, whatever. And I'm like, did it for whom? That's going to go down that kneeling thing is going to go down as one of the worst things to happen in civil rights. And I got asked this recently, like, what do you think it's born of? And I said it's born of Colin Kaepernick feeling like he's not black. He's been teased enough, like, you ain't black, man, shut up, dude, whatever, playing football, had all the advantages, raised by the Kaepernicks, and he just never felt black enough. So that gesture was, okay, I'm down with my people. Of course, and to bring attention to his plight. I think he said something when I was listening to the little clip of it, like, if I never play another down of football, and I don't think you will, at least not in the NFL, but if I never play another down of football, I feel like I've, done something for mankind. I'm thinking, man, please, seriously, what have you done? You've made black neighborhoods less safe. You've made police officers resent having to deal with people like him. He's got powerful people who want to back his play and for all the wrong reasons. What happens when this is done? When Donald Trump's kind of put this issue to bed, and he's not a racist, and when the NFL finally gets fed up, and I said this before, Roger Goodell could have easily stopped this. Easily. He could have said, as I said, you kneel, you're going to get fined $1 million. You kneel again, you're going to get out of the league for 4 games. You do it again, you miss a season, or you're done. And we wouldn't even be talking about it. And so now he's got a quandary. Black players have a quandary within the NFL. Because the NFL, I told you guys the other day, came out and said, we'll give you $100 million. It's a bribe. Stop doing this. Can you imagine? I want you to think about this in corporate America. I want you to think about what corporate America sees when the NFL does this. Petulant black players grieve about something. It isn't even their issue. It isn't they who are getting, beat up and whatever. I mean, in fact, it's not even their friends. But I'm saying it isn't even them. So I want you to just imagine an issue that's not your employee's issue. They come to work one day and they say, you know what? We're mad about what's going on in, Cleveland, and we expect you to do something, boss. And the boss goes, that's got nothing to do with me. And he goes back to work. Now they're really mad because they've been ignored. So they decide they're going to kneel, take time off, be a distraction from others at the job. And the ultimate outcome is that the company says, well, you know what? We don't think this is our fault. We got nothing to do with it. But you know what? We're going to give you $100 million to divide up and figure out what you want to do with it. If you think corporate America isn't looking at this saying, we could have to pay for something that is completely unrelated to who we are because one black employee decides he's mad about it, and then it becomes a cancer inside of the business, and we lose $500 million or more, $1 billion. Our brand recognition goes down, in terms of it's tarnished. It may not go down, but it's tarnished. And then we try to pay them off, and they don't accept it. Yeah, let's go out and hire a bunch of new black people. It's not going to happen. Colin Kaepernick and look, I'm not one of these guys like, he's ruined it for all the rest of the colored folks. It isn't that. I'm just saying, if you think that HR people and risk people inside of corporations don't measure this, you are out of your mind. They look at stuff like this and go, man, I want to hire them black people. It isn't even related to, it would be different if Kaepernick said, one of my boys on my football team got brutalized by a cop last night and nobody said anything. And now he's out of the league for 4 weeks because the cops did a Rodney King beatdown on him on a traffic stop of mistaken identity. Then I'd go, wow. And nobody did anything. You can kneel, my friend. That's a cause. But when you want to convince the rest of the world that, by the way, before I even finish that statement, there was a guy that wrote to me. He was mad at me. And he said to me, Kevin, he called the idea of black on black crime a myth. He says, you probably believe in the myth of black on black crime. I said, no, I'll go further. I believe in the myth that black people commit crimes at all. I go, shh, you know we don't commit no crimes. And he didn't know how to respond because, he doesn't speak sarcasm. But I was like, what are you talking about? He says to me, you don't believe in the myth of black on black crime. Do you then know what you're dealing with? He doesn't believe in black on black crime. I didn't even bother to ask why. Do I really? Why don't I just go to the zoo and go talk to a monkey? Because if you don't even want to tell me that you believe in the reality of black on black crime, why are we having this conversation? It's a silly, specious discussion at this point. But that's where we are. Anyway, I think I don't care if Colin, give these people all the awards they want. You know what we need to do as conservatives? We need to start our own awards things and give out awards to the people that we care about and make those awards bigger than the nonsense awards that the left gives out. How about that? I'm game.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. Look, lefties, I already know. You don't have to send me any more notes, nasty grams, whatever. Trump is stupid. Yeah, he's stupid, isn't he? And he's crazy, too, isn't he? He's crazy like a fox. Oh, why do I chuckle? I chuckle because the left never learn. They will not learn. They are dyed in the wool, married to their ideology. And until I don't know what it takes to wake them up. Yeah, that's why we love when lefties make the transition and become conservatives. We love it because it's like doing an alien autopsy. So what made you think the way that you used to think, Sheriff Clark? Why would you have ever voted Democrat? Well, I'll tell you what, and this, that, and the other. And it's funny because I'll use Sheriff Clark as an example. I think he's a great guy, but he's gotten a lot of press, maybe because he's got the goatee and he's a big, strong-looking dude. I don't know, but he's gotten a lot of press on being a Democrat that saw the light. And I think that it's kind of like I say to the Trump early adopters, I give you more credit. The Johnny-come-latelys, like myself and others, we came on and we helped, but you guys saw it. And there's something to be said for that. Now, me as a conservative in general, there's something to be said for a kid who never bought into the leftist ideology and the Democrats. Never. But I don't get, I'm not up there meeting with the president. I've met him a couple times, and I'm not up there sitting with him every day and taking pictures and blah, blah, blah. I'm the guy that's behind the scenes still talking smack to lefties, missing out on a lot of good dinners. But I don't lament those that get it. But I'm just saying there's something to be said for being bold early on, right? And I'll give credit where credit is due. You people that saw it, Robert Davi and I had a conversation at CPAC, and he looked at me and said, I told you. I said, look, man, what do you want me to say? You are exactly right. You knew exactly what was going to happen because of the way things work out. Congratulations. He rubbed it in a little bit. But, these lefties, they think Trump's stupid. They think he's a radical, that he's crazy. And you got to love watching him work. The boldness, that's our theme today, is boldness. Let's just start with the media. The fact that Donald Trump pushes back on the media, he pushes back on anything that he's a misogynist or whatever. He did this with women. Shut up. You're fake news. In case you didn't realize, here's another fake story. Oh, they're looking into my finances with Deutsche Bank. Fake. All the information that led up to the FBI Russia Gate thing, fake. In fact, General Flynn's probably going to get off because all the things leading to this chain of evidence of him where he lied to the FBI, which I don't know why he would have done it anyway, but all of that information, gone. It's all fake. And we're learning that. We've watched the media torpedo itself time and time again because they want to get to Trump. And all the guy does is he's got the truth on his side, the majority of the time, or he's getting results. They're not used to seeing results. Think about everything that Donald Trump has done that were bold moves. When he decided he was going to take on trade. And people are like, well, that's trade. What you know about trade? We're supposed to be part of this big thing called TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And how are we going to, what's he talking about getting rid of NAFTA and all that's all good for us? Yeah, that's why we got over $500 billion trade deficit. Can you imagine if we got $500 billion back into this economy, into American businesses, and our trade deficit went to zero? I don't know what it is right now, but here's what I'll tell you. It's lower. It's lower than what it was. If he saved us $100 billion, it's $100 billion less than we had before, and over, as they like to do in politics, over a 10-year period, that's $1 trillion. And if, for those doing the math, if he saved us $200 billion over a 5-year period, that's $1 trillion. Oops, almost messed up. That's just in trade. Donald Trump goes to Saudi Arabia, brings back a $350 billion trade deal. Goes to Asia, brings up a $250 billion trade deal. Let me do the math. That's $600 billion of new business into America. And he gets the Chinese to lower tariffs on multiple products. So now we've got trade deals open, for products to go ship to overseas and even out that trade deficit. And nobody said a word. You can't find it in regular media. They're like, well, what? I didn't see anything. That's huge. Huge. He made Canada, we stopped using their lumber, timber is what I was going to say. Their lumber, we're doing American lumber. And Canada's mad. Donald Trump's like, we have an $11 billion trade deficit with you. Where are we going to fix this? Mexico, they're on notice. You already know about China. So all these different things are being addressed, legitimately so, and the media says nothing. And I could go on. What about illegal immigration? Way down. Not only are they capturing, they're actually enforcing the border laws, but the Mexicans are going, it's not worth it. Because even if you get there, they're cracking down on you when you're there. It's not like it used to be. You can't be out in the open as much. How many of these La Raza, these anti-immigration things have you seen in a while? You haven't seen very many, have you? Because they've been put on notice. These are bold moves. When Donald Trump made the comment that, look, you got people coming over the border who are sex trafficking, who are bringing drugs, allowing terrorism. He's a Mexican. He hates Mexicans. And Donald Trump said, call it what you want. What I love, he goes, I don't care who you tell me who I hate. He goes, let me tell you who I love. Americans. See, the left are so fixated on, we'll make it to where he hates Mexicans. Now, I don't hate Mexicans. I can guarantee you I don't. And grew up around them. My kids are Mexican. So people can talk about me all they want. But I'll tell you this, I know who I love. You can tell me all the people I hate. He's a hater. Okay, fine. I'm ignoring that. But I know who I love. Chesterton, I think I'm paraphrasing, but he says it's not what the battle is or who you're facing over there. What the fight is. That he says you're fighting for the people behind you that you love. More on this when we come back. I'll take a short break.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Agreement with the Palestinian people must preserve Israel's identity as a Jewish state with secure, recognized, defensible borders. And Jerusalem will remain the capital of Israel, and it must remain undivided.
Welcome back, everybody. Obama says that, and yet he did nothing. He snubbed Netanyahu time and time again. Listening to the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. Glad you're with me. And look, I'll tell you, to look at, I'd say, compare and contrast Barack Obama and Donald Trump, it's just a joke to do it. There's boldness with Donald Trump. There's nothing but fear and poll checking of the leftists with Barack Obama. Nothing but that. A friend of mine was telling me a wealthy friend of his who knew Chicago politics very well, was big in with the unions and made his business with the unions, said in 2008 that America would be crazy to elect this guy that he knew who was intrinsic to the unions and really working the system. And he said his name is Barack Obama, and he said he was dangerous. The guy has passed away since. But he was intrinsic to the Chicago unions. And I don't know exactly what his business was, but, you know, he wasn't exactly the cleanest guy on the planet. But he said, let me tell you something. You want to know a dirty guy? Is this guy coming up in Chicago politics. His name is Barack Obama. This was before Obama declared to be president. Donald Trump, bold. What did he say he was going to do? He said he's going to wipe ISIS off the face of the earth. You hearing much about ISIS? Yeah, they've taken credit for a lot. I know they're scheming. Remember when I told you Donald Trump went to Saudi Arabia, he gets his $350 billion package for military. And I said to you, that's Donald Trump's warning to the world. You're going to protect yourself from terrorism, not us. Number one, you're going to pay for it. And the second part of the equation is, if you don't do what you're supposed to do in the way of terror, then we're going to not allow you to be part of our marketplace. And what's happened in Saudi Arabia? You guys aware of the big changes that are going on there? Well, they've been arresting people. The young Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has taken his riskiest gamble yet with the stunning arrest of top princes, military officers, government officials, influential businessmen. He's draining his own swamp. You want to know why? Because those guys have been sponsors of terror. They've been undermining the Saudi government, working with Iran. You hearing a whole lot about Iran? You will be. Trust me, it's on the list. But Donald Trump is saying, everybody wants me to go confront Iran directly. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to confront them indirectly. I'm going to make the Middle East fix its own mess. Because you know why? I don't have enough knowledge about how to fix their mess. But here's what I will do. I'll start if Iran thinks they can be the sponsors of terror, I'll be the sponsors of peace. I will make Jerusalem, what do they call it, the capital? I'm going to move our embassy there. And you know what's happening? The world is starting to respond. Other countries, you know what? We're going to go ahead and follow the bold move of Donald Trump. Don't you love that? When I tell you the United States is the group of people, we're the country rather, who sets the pace of the world. And I want you to think about everything that's going on right now. Make America great again. He went to Poland. Make Poland great again. And Donald Trump is it. Do it. Love it. Love that you want to make China great. You want to make this great. But you know what? We can all be great and we can all work together. It's like a team of athletes and all of them are good. Do you want a team of, you're on a football team and you go, yeah, our center kind of sucks, but the rest of us are pretty good. Or, no, we've only got a great quarterback, but our receivers have T-Rex hands, or alligator hands. You want everybody great. And then the team is great. Everybody wins. If your team wins a Super Bowl and you're part of that team, everybody on that team in the contract negotiations to follow makes more money. Why? It's not a tough concept. You know what you think about in terms of world potential for the world? Think about the number of people in the world and how many of them live in squalor. But what they could be if they were all productive, if they all wanted, new clothes, if they all wanted the goods and services, and we were trading all over the world, and every country in Africa had manufacturing of its products and its services, and they generated electricity for themselves, and their currency was stable, and they had a stable government. Imagine that. Every country, just Africa, the continent of Africa. Imagine that for Central America, where people are actually shopping at Kohl's or JCPenney or whatever, or they've got their own equivalent, and we're cross-marketing to one another. We have untapped potential in this world that is amazing. Everybody could have a TV if you want that. I mean, I wouldn't. If I lived in Africa, I would be out, in the bush leading safaris every day or doing something like that. Why would I watch TV? I don't need to watch Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom when I got it right there. I'd be on the internet with my own show. Anyway, I want to go back to Saudi Arabia. So the government wants to eliminate corruption. Potential rivals of Prince Mohammed, known as the MBS, the son of King Solomon. And he also wants to usher in a form of democracy. Saudi right now is going, look, we got to bring oil's going away. We got to bring tourism. We got to have people wanting to come here. We have to take a different stance. Bold move by this guy. By the way, the guy he got rid of, one of the princes he arrested, is an anti-Trumper. The guy who took over is a pro-Trump guy. And you don't think this man knows what he's doing? What he did is he took bold leadership and he said, it's my time to do this, and I'm going to follow Donald Trump. I'm going to follow America. I know it makes sense. They said, most stunning in the arrest of 11 princes and 38 officials and businessmen are the detentions of 2 sons of the late King Abdullah. Prince Matib bin Abdullah had headed the powerful National Guard. Prince Turki bin Abdullah was once governor of the capital of Riyadh. The two, both cousins of the crown prince, were considered the favorites of King Abdullah, who ruled until his death in January of 2015, when his half-brother, King Salman, was crowned monarch. I think the biggest takeaway from all of this, folks, is very simple. Donald Trump has changed the face of the Middle East in two moves: Jerusalem and what's going on in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is going to fight Iran to make sure that the terrorism doesn't spread. And what a strategic move to do this. I mean, what can I say? I don't want to say genius yet, but certainly a good move.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I fully appreciated until this evening how really important it was for Donald Trump to win. If Hillary Clinton had won, none of this would have surfaced. They just would have kept covering up all the corruption, and they would have just kept taking care of themselves. So the very fact that you had this disruptive figure in the White House, all of us are learning some pretty horrifying things about how sick the system is, how sick the entire process is, in ways I would have thought were impossible. I mean, I have the greatest respect for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and it is astonishing to me that you could have people at the top who are this corrupt, this profoundly dishonest. The second thing that struck me, listening actually to your opening monologue, if you take what General Flynn is accused of, and then you take virtually anything Hillary's done. I mean, 33,000 deletions of emails without any kind of approval. All the having a totally inappropriate server that was totally outside the State Department rules. I mean, just go down the list. Any one of her things would certainly have at least matched what they're accusing General Flynn of.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Profoundly criminal these people are. And Newt Gingrich, you cannot overstate how crooked the Democrats are. And what's funny about it is they think the Democrats live in this thing where they go, no, nobody sees us. They don't see what we're doing. No, they're too stupid. And it's funny when you get to the level of elitism and cockiness that these people have. They are just going along with blinders. Oh, no, they don't understand. They don't really believe Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a crook. They don't believe that Donna Brazile is a crook and gave information to Hillary Clinton on, the debate, and the DNC colluded against all those candidates. Oh, no, they don't believe that Hillary Clinton's crooked foundation really does all the things that they say. No, they don't believe that Barack Obama did everything within his power to subvert the system by spying on Americans and trying to ruin Donald Trump and so on and so forth. No, we're just moving along our fat little dumb way. Didn't mean to pick on fat people, but I'm just saying, just boop-a-doo, we're bumping along a doop-a-doo-de-doo-de. I wasn't picking on fat people. Be quiet. My grandmother would say fat, dumb, and happy, meaning you've eaten a lot. They've stuffed you and you're just, okay, whatever, till the next meal. That's what I was implying. I have no problem with the porkers, the corpulent, the cherubs, whatever you want to call yourselves. And of course, there'll be some new terminology that's offensive that I can't use some other word. Call us foodly challenged or something. Anyway, Donald Trump's a rock star. And his election was important on so many levels. And you can't, I couldn't say it enough. Thank all of us, right? Thank us. What's more important is in 2018, the Democrats are delusional. They still believe everything's good. They got to replace some people, Franken and Conyers and many others that are going to have to be replaced. I'm just telling you, the shoe is going to continue to fall. Don't make no mistake about this, people. You think that it's the people you know about. Look, there are other people out there who are under fire. Members of the Congressional Black Caucus. Wait until that list comes out of the people who've been paid off because of sexual assault. Wait until you find out the number of people who got money, your tax dollars, because of Elizabeth Warren's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that was nothing more than an attack on capitalism. You know what that group was for? It was to intimidate companies. It was bigger and badder than the IRS ever hoped to be. It was going to levy crazy fines on people. You didn't meet this quota. You didn't meet this thing. You're not a good steward of this, that, and the other. It was all about progressivism. You didn't pay your carbon tax. You didn't do this, that, and all leftist nonsense. And the reason they hate it is because that person was so powerful. Rick Mulvaney, that thing, they don't need a chairman of it. They don't need a head of it. They need to shut it down. That's what we should be asking for. Shut it down. Should never see the light of day. We have all kinds of consumer protections. I'm telling you, I'm going to make a note of that. We must shut down the CFPB. Period. Donald Trump knows it. That's why he put Rick Mulvaney in head of it. He can move Rick to somewhere else. We need to be, I'm just telling you, this was a group that could do whatever it wanted to you. The president couldn't even do anything about that guy. We need to get Congress to disband that group immediately, or we make their lives so miserable by passing all this amazing pro-capitalist stuff that they go, we got to shut it down. And we go, okay, great, no problem. Let's shut it down. With our stuff in place, of course. But I want to go back to Donald Trump. What a week. It's funny. I look back on the good and the bad weeks and whatever. Oh, Donald Trump, he's under fire from Mueller. They just put a special prosecutor. They just did this. And then the left would come out. He's in bad shape. He's going to be impeached. And, of course, they've done articles of impeachment. Al Green, another sexual harasser. He's out there, I'm just telling you, what a week for Donald Trump. What a week. If you, and I've explained some of it in the broadcast, but when you look at what this guy's been able to accomplish in a year, it's mind-blowing. Now, admittedly, what diminishes it a bit is Trump will come out and say himself, here's what I've done. Here's what I've been able to accomplish. And it rubs everybody the wrong way when you're going to be your own wingman. But the problem is he doesn't have a wingman. See, we need to be that. We have to be more, here it is, look at these, and boy, don't dare compare and contrast because, and I talk about this often, but we do need to compare and contrast. We need to stick it in the faces of the left. Donald Trump creates 1 million jobs in a year. Barack Obama loses 4 million in a year. Donald Trump, deficit after 1 year is whatever, or debt. Barack Obama debt after 1 year. Deficit, this, blah, 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 whatever it may be. And just compare them. Even if it's bad, like, for example, Trump asked for a bigger number than Obama. Tell him. He's spending more money than Obama. I don't like it, but he is. Government's grown. Now, wait till next time when he's cutting that. One of my friends gave Trump a D. Said he'd give him a 60 because of his foreign policy. And I'm looking at this dude like, you must be crazy, man. ISIS on the run. And why? Because now the Saudis are involved in it. I just talked about the Saudi takeover and what that means. The actual king who was appointed now is pro-Trump versus the one who hated Trump. And what's that done? Trump says, okay, 1.5 billion Muslims in the world, I give you Jerusalem to Israel. What are you going to do about it? Now, because now he's saying to them, you got to handle your own scandals. We're not going to do it. But before that, we're going to tell you who we support. We support Jerusalem. Now let's go at it. Let's have at it. So terror's on the run. He got his travel ban. The left, they were celebrating. Man, he didn't get his travel ban. Racism, loses racism, this, that, and the other. Same travel ban as Obama, but not racist. But now he gets it. And he gets it in a perfect time when he's doubling down on all this stuff. And then you start looking at the numbers. It is astounding. And it isn't just like, okay, let's do a temporary fix on the numbers to make them look good, which is what Obama would do. He ran things like, it's election time, let's go make everything look good. If Donald Trump, in theory, he should stop right now and just let the stock market hang at 24,000, right? And then come 2018 around, August, June, July, August, boom, it starts running. And then it runs up to 26,000 and, a few more jobs. He doesn't care. He's like, man, let her rip. You shouldn't be working to some quarterly thing or some annual thing. You just let the economy do what it do, baby. So what do we have with him doing this? Record unemployment, low unemployment. Let's be clear there. Record low unemployment, record high consumer, index, consumer confidence. Everybody believes in this new economy. That's the difference. Companies, I should say, coming back to America to manufacture, to look at solutions, to put in innovation centers in that type of stuff. I could go on. This is great news. Tax reform, when that's done, and I'm just telling you, there's a nail being put in the coffin of the left, and there's only one way to look at this, conservatives, is with exuberance. And let me tell you why. The left told you how stupid Donald Trump was. They told you he was incapable. Orrin Hatch just said he's the best president I've served under. You want to know why? He's decisive. He's bold and decisive. The left don't know how to handle bold and decisive and competent. That's their problem.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, talking about Donald Trump just confounding the left at every turn. Boldness, boldness, boldness. How do you teach? It's funny how when you think about the women's movement, what do they tell women? Be bold. Get out there, do something. We raise young boys to be bold because that's the unfortunate thing is young boys grow up being challenged, not just mentally, but physically. If somehow young boys stopped being challenged and little girls were getting beat up all the time, they would become the better athletes. We would suddenly find ourselves in an evolutionary process of switching roles. The reason why you see a lot of boxers who are minority kids is because they grow up fighting. And they figure, why not make a buck? I'm just saying, that's how it works out. Yeah, there are white boxers. White kids grow up bad, in bad environments and want to fight or have to fight. And you see them every now and then, but per capita, boxers are minorities. In America, they are. Few Mexicans, a lot of, obviously, Latinos box all over the world. When boxers from all over the world, just to put it in perspective, are from the poor. It's hardly ever a rich kid is a fighter. I can't think of one. Hardly ever. It's a kid who grew up in an orphanage, he grew up in foster care, his parents abandoned him, raised by poor folks, whatever. It's hardly ever wealthy. Think about the correlation of what I'm just telling you there. The fighters come from dire straits. That's not to say that people don't have a fighting spirit that come from wealth, but it's not like something they find early. It's not like they're challenged to understand it. Little kids like me that grew up, let me give you my life when I was a kid. So I'd go to school, come home. I mean, at 5 years old, literally 5, 6 years old, I walked to school, my elementary school. And I tell this story every now and then. One time I was coming home, my cousin and his best friend, who were in a grade higher than I was in the first grade, they were in the second grade. They double teamed me. They jumped me to double team me. And I beat the crap out of both of them. Was I scared? Yeah. But it was fight or flight. And I wasn't going to run. So I walked up and I punched Brian right in his face. Bam! And he started crying. And then my cousin was like, yeah, you hit my best friend. Bam! I hit him too. And when I looked up, I had 2 second graders crying in the middle of the street. I'll never forget, there's a little bridge we crossed over going home. And occasionally when the water wasn't flowing very much, we would go down in there and jump up and come up the other side just for shiggles. But anyway, I was beating it home, because they told me they were going to beat me up. I didn't even know why. So I was walking home fast, and then they ran in front of me and decided to fight. So I wasn't going to run then. I just said, okay, if we got to fight, then guess what? I'm going to fight. And I beat both of them up. And that was the beginning, because right after that, I started taking martial arts, started taking karate. Not for any reason, not because, I beat them up, or I thought it was just like, wow, they're offering it for free. I'll do it. I always had a fascination with it, so I did it. But my point is that we're fighters. When you come from those dire straits, you're a fighter. Interestingly, Donald Trump has that same mentality. That's why the dude is such an enigma. I can say that I'm black. He confounds the left because they're not used to guys at that level fighting. They're used to them sort of taking the Marcus of Queensberry. Listen, we need to play fair here. We need to be everyone. Let's comport ourselves as gentlemen. And Trump's like, oh no, you didn't. Beep. And he just goes and starts punching. And the left don't get it. And you gotta love it. Things that they think they've won. Oh, we stopped the travel ban. I told you guys on this. Don't make us go find the clips. Go look for that clip. Go look for the clip. Don't make us find the clip where I said to you guys, it's a temporary win for the left. Obamacare, woo, it's not repeal. Where's your repeal? Da, da, da. It's a temporary win for you. The travel ban, whatever. Did I already say that? Maybe I did. Anyway, doesn't matter what they think they've won. They haven't won anything. Good luck with that. He is cleaning the swamp. I was talking to some guy the other day, one of my radio buddies. He says, Kevin, it's funny. The swamp is cleaning itself. I said, the swamp's not cleaning itself. Don't take that away from Donald Trump. The swamp is being cleaned. The reason why Al Franken was made to step down, he didn't want to. Look at what he said. It wasn't really, I don't feel like I did anything. I didn't do that. It was during a different time period, whatever. You heard his excuses. I don't need to play the clip. But he doesn't believe he should be out. He said, I felt like I could make a change. I was ready to go. They called him the giant of the Senate. And I called him the giant douche of the Senate. But that's another thing. He was made to step down. There's a war at play. Let me tell you what's going on so you guys will know it for the record. They have cleaned out Conyers. They've cleaned out Al Franken. They don't want to publish the list of people who are on, who we've paid for sexual harassment. We've seen other people, Grijalva and a couple of others that are on the left who've been paid off in funky ways, strange kind of ways, $48,000 here, $27,000 here, whatever. They don't want to tell you. So the Democrats want to pretend we're for women. Look at what we did. We cleaned up our house, and they're hoping that they can, just get our minds off of it. They want all the big names gone. Now they don't care about these other people. If there are any more big names, those guys have been put on notice. You're going to be gone. It's all seats that they can win. I thought Franken's seat might be up, but from what I hear, he's going to be tough to beat. Not him, but to take it from the Democrats because they're so scandalous. We may not win that Senate seat. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I think everything's in play. I don't think we should be saying, "Oh, well, that's a hardcore," except for congressional black caucus seats, because black leftists or they just vote for them no matter what. They love the scoundrels. But guys like Franken, Democrats can say, look, we don't like this. It wasn't the Republicans that ran him out. It was a cacophony of leftist women that ran him out. So we are not complicit in any way. But here's the game. They want us to say, okay, they cleaned house, and then they're going to accuse Donald Trump of more and more sexual problems from his past. And let me tell you what they're going to do. They're going to make it up. They think that works. They're like, well, look, we got rid of Conyers, we got rid of Franken on innuendo alone. Now, here's what's funny about this strategy. Trust me, I'm telling you, don't be shocked when you see new allegations come of Donald Trump. And look at what we did with Franken and Conyers. Don't you think the president should step down? If he doesn't step down, we need to impeach him. They're going to try this. Now, they've already tried it. They've tried Donald Trump in the court of public opinion. Remember when they trotted out his old girlfriend and then they fake news the story that she was upset with Trump, and she came back on and said nothing could be further from the truth. Great relationship. Didn't work out. I'm married now with, new family, but I have nothing but good things and positive things to say. His wife, Ivana, they tried to bring her. She's mad at him. She's like, I'm far from that. We have a great relationship with our kids, blah, blah, blah. They tried all the Billy Bush, tape and all these other things to make Trump a misogynist. And now they're retreading. Trust me when I tell you, they will bring this back. They have nothing in Russia, but they noticed something. They noticed that Weinstein is down. Now, rightfully so, the guy was a lech. Trump's done nothing close, but that doesn't matter. Look, what did Franken do? I mean, other women are coming out of the woodwork, but when you really listen to what they say, that he tried to kiss me with an open mouth. How many drunk guys have done that to a woman? Holy Toledo. He, and the picture of him, faking, I don't know if he had his hands on her girl's flak jacket, but he certainly didn't have them on her breast, because he had him, even if he were touching that flak jacket, he might have had him in the spot where her breast would go, but he was nowhere near her breast. She was completely wrapped up. It's ridiculous. Joe Biden has done far more than Al Franken, and it's a matter of public record. Go look at Biden whispering in people's ear, like, hey, baby, what's going on? Ooh. And he's cupping one leg while her husband is getting an award. Biden's got his hand on her breast. I mean, he's practically lifting him up like, hey, what bra size you wearing there, young lady? It's ridiculous. They want to come back and they want to get this man. And this is a ruse. I see through it. They think that's what's going to bring. It's brought down Weinstein. It's brought down Kevin Spacey. It's brought down Conyers. Now it's going to bring down Franken. And we're going to look like the party that's trying to save women, because women need to be saved from these lecherous men.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. 844-551-8255. So I talked earlier in the broadcast about the Democrats trying to set up President Trump. There's going to be new allegations of women, and they're going to be, they think this is going to work. It's already failed. It's like the Russia story. It's like the racism story, whatever. It's all going to fail. And once we get through the Christmas season and the holiday shopping and all that other crap, and then we get into the next election year and you start seeing these policies go into play and you start counting up the wins, because Donald Trump has had one heck of a week. You start counting up these wins and you're going to say, holy cow, why would you want to fight this man? Why wouldn't you just go with the flow? But here's the biggest reason of all why it's not going to work. Well, a couple reasons. One, it's mostly not true. You can't get Americans like myself to believe that Donald Trump would have to do anything to a woman that she didn't want to happen. Billionaires that are, I don't know whether you think Trump's a good looking guy or not, but I'll tell you this. When you see a guy and he's worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, he suddenly starts looking a little more attractive than normal. It's the truth. I told you guys, I was at an event or something, and I could see how people were responding to me, and then a lady says, "Hey, and we've got Kevin Jackson with Fox News here," and pow! Suddenly, people want to come over and talk that didn't have a word to say earlier. Now, I'm not calling them superficial or whatever, but because they have interest in Fox, they watch Fox, but it was a different thing. That's what happens. Now I recognize you. Oh my gosh, yeah. Happened in New York. I was talking to a police officer, trying to turn over some weed. Found it in the park. And he's like, "Oh, dude, I know you. Oh my gosh, can I get a picture?" That's what happens. So you're going to have a tough time selling. Al Franken having try to do that to women? Yeah. John Conyers? Yeah. But billionaire playboy Donald Trump? Please. How long is that line of women going, "Will you please fill my..." A long line. Sadly, a long, long line. It shouldn't matter that this guy's worth $1 billion or whatever he's worth, right? If your daughter has morality, she says, you're gonna court me. It isn't just gonna be handing over the cookies. You're gonna have to court me. You're gonna have to, let me know that we're mutual. I don't care about your fat paycheck, or your money, your wallet. But that's not the way leftists think. So they think it's going to work. They're going to try this ruse, and that's why they're cleaning house. We're the party of cleaning house. They didn't clean house with any of their Congress people. They didn't clean John Conyers out earlier. They didn't clean out the people who've got 17 million of your dollars that have been spent on them for their sexual dalliances. They didn't clean them out. They didn't clean out the DNC that conspired to get rid of, all the other competitors to Hillary Clinton and Donna Brazile. They didn't clean her out. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is giving secrets away to Arabs, giving them access to our servers. They didn't clean her out. And a host of others. They haven't cleaned up the media. How many media guys are, we've seen now so far? Forget. You want to go back and point to Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly. That seems like ancient times compared to now. So where are they clean house? Have they gotten rid of Matt Lauer had nothing to do with the Democrats. Look at every one of the people, too, that they were, they've gotten rid of. They're all at the same parties. They go to Hillary's party. They go to Obama's party. They party together. They're all friends with Weinstein, etc. And none of them know. None of them know. "Oh, I didn't know he was doing this or that." Yeah, you did. You all knew. But they're cleaning house. Because they want you to believe that, we're all good. Look at what we did as a party. We have revamped ourselves. I guess bigger, better didn't work, or whatever they said it was. Better. Not working the way they thought. They got a big problem. Their stuff's going to keep on coming. If you think that they've cleaned house and that you're not going to hear any more scandals regarding Democrats and their shenanigans with their interns and pages and whatever else, you'd be naive. They'd like to make sure it's not at the level of a Pelosi or a Durbin or somebody like that. Don't be surprised if it is. It's D.C. A male escort was found dead inside of a wealthy Democrat donor's home. Did you hear this story? Probably not. But that's close to, that's tangentially related to the things that we're talking about here. But you know what's directly related? The House settled a lawsuit against Meeks. Representative Meeks, Democrat. They fired the staffer who reported the sexual assault. No harm, no foul. That's what they do. That's how they handle their scandal, as we say in the vernacular. Meanwhile, what does Donald Trump do? What he promised. Living up to all kinds of stuff. Rattling the cages of the left. Hey, we're moving our embassy to Jerusalem. Big statement. Bold statement. But the Democrats will tell you they're bold because they're getting rid of their scoundrels. Conyers, 88 years old, served 52 years in Congress. Holy cow. When does the light come on? Wants his son to replace him. He's got felony domestic assault and a host of other things going against him, and that's who Conyers wants to replace him. We've got an embattled, embroiled FBI that essentially cannot be trusted. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but they can't be trusted. They didn't even fire the guy who they have all the dots connecting him to all of Hillary's shenanigans and why she got away with it, why she could be so confident. Do you remember when you were hearing these stories and you're saying to yourself, I was like, how's she running around acting like she's not getting fitted for an orange jumpsuit? Now we know. She had it already cooked. Comey already had the answers. You know what they should do? They should just say, okay, she's not guilty. Now let's back it up and make sure that it's that way. You want to talk about chain of evidence, chain of custody, that kind of stuff? Go look at everything that's got Peter Strzok did or whatever his name is. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so lots more to come. Don't count out the Democrats being through with their scandals, folks. There's many more because the cover-up, as they say, is always worse than the scandal. And that's where they find themselves now. We got to take a short break.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I want to cover a listener's comment to me. And big fan, says he's a big fan, listened to a replay of one of the shows. And he says, I found your dialogue on the college student who was suspended for posting his former girlfriend's letter on the internet. Very interesting. Of course, you're right. It wasn't any of the university's business, but he didn't handle the other issue, the guy's use of the internet to humiliate his former girlfriend, very well. And he says, anyone who thinks it's fun to humiliate someone is a real jerk, and I don't have much sympathy for him. Just having fun? Really? You talked about the young man's potential as a teacher. Suppose he becomes a teacher and decides it would be fun to humiliate your children or maybe your wife. We shouldn't condone people using their rights irresponsibly. Please think before you open your mouth. See, it's a nice message until you get to that part. I'm not going to say the guy's name. He knows who he is. I don't want to humiliate him. But I have to. So, first of all, he's dead wrong. You know, we live in a world, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the girl had broken up with him, made his life miserable, and then did an apology letter back to him explaining all the things that she'd done wrong and how great he'd been. So what I would say to this person, let's just call him Vern, the issue here is that we live in a time where we are being told as men that we're less. I made the comment the other day that pretty soon it will take two men to verify what a woman said about the man, because the man is automatically assumed to be guilty. You watch TV, you watch entertainment, all these people make guys look like buffoons. Now, if we flip that and a guy had been a jerk and a girl got even with him on the internet, I doubt if Vern would have written me this letter. Despite all the progress that women have made in this country, we continue to talk about the nonsensical issues of some imbalance between men and women. You know what? The imbalance of how much, pee do men do, pee when we pee versus women. It's to the point of being ridiculous. What are you talking about? I don't make as much money. Is anybody stopping a woman in America from establishing her own business, as we call it, hanging their shingle and going out and making a living for herself? Of course not. If whatever job you choose to do, you don't have to do it. You don't have to work for some man. And the same is true of blacks. And I'm watching this happen. I'm watching the degradation of society because we have these special interests that always want to look out for somebody, or, well, poor thing, she did this, he shouldn't have put this out on the internet. Let me tell you what should have happened. She should not have mistreated her man to the point where he felt he wanted to take his grievance out on something like that. And what did he do? He corrected her stupid letter and also said, I'm not getting back with you. That's what he did. And maybe there's a lesson in that for other people. You know, it's funny. We always look at things and go, that's a horrible thing to do. There were many things far worse that could have been done. And I dare Vern to go look on the internet and look at these websites that say getting even and, crushes you know what and blah, 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 because they hate what guys are doing. The emasculation of this society and then the degradation of men is the very reason that we don't have guys, and I'm going to speak in the black community, but it isn't just the black community. We don't have men who will stay with their families, who will raise their children, and who will do the right thing. This is a guy that this woman admits was a great guy. And I screwed up. I'm really sorry. And she's explaining all of it, and he's correcting her English because he's a teacher. And then Vern said, "What kind of teacher is he going to be if he's going to do that to your kids?" Well, you know what? I wouldn't expect him to do that to my kids. That's a complete that's one of those arguments where, well, what if he did that to your wife or to your daughter? Well, let me tell you, if he did it to my daughter and she was that girl that he described, good. She deserved it. Does that answer your question? Women are not immune to being bad people and doing bad things. Guys, to the point, well, always be a gentleman. Being a gentleman has a lot more to do with just taking it every time somebody wants to throw something in your face. Oh, you guys make more money than we do, and you do this, and you're abusers. Lesbians abuse their women, abuse their wives, or whatever you want to call them. I don't think they can be married, but you know what I'm saying. You don't hear an outcry of that. Lesbians hit on other women at the job. Who's getting fired? You seen any lesbians get fired? You haven't even brought it up. So look, I'm certainly no misogynist. You guys have heard me talk about women. I'll work for a woman boss. Technically, as a Fox News contributor, I work for a woman. The president of Fox is a woman. I've sat in her office multiple times. And we've had conversations, and I know what her role is to me. I mean, she's, I'm a contributor. She doesn't sign all my paychecks, but she signs one of them. No, that's technically not true, but she's over it. Her right-hand man is another woman, ironically. Great lady. We're good friends. That's my boss. That's my, technically, Lauren's my boss, and Suzanne's my boss's boss, but they're bosses. Both of them women. Accomplished women in their own right. And you know what? They've done some dirty to people in this, and they're big girls and they can take it. But I'm not going to play this game of what if it were your daughter? What if it were you this? What if that were your son who'd given his all to this relationship, thought it was going to go somewhere, and this girl is nitpicking him to the point where, she breaks it off and he's going, what more could I do? We're going to play that game? I think it's a silly game. So look, here's the biggest part of it. We don't have to agree on this. But you're going to end it with this passive-aggressive thing that says, anyone who thinks it's fun to humiliate someone is a real jerk. Well, let me tell you, I know a lot of real jerks because it is fun to humiliate some people. Some people deserve to be humiliated. Al Franken's a good one. He deserves to be humiliated. Harvey Weinstein. Do you have any problem with me humiliating Harvey? I write about these clowns every day. I don't see somebody writing into me going, Kevin, I can't believe you humiliated Harvey Weinstein. Kevin, I can't believe you humiliated Chelsea Handler. Kevin, I can't believe you humiliated Hillary Clinton. They deserved it. And then this other part, use your rights irresponsibly. What did she do that was irresponsible? Didn't she have some sort of human condition to this guy? Didn't she owe him something? And then the final part, please think before you open your mouth. How about you think before you start writing and telling people what to think and when to open their mouths? I don't mind getting letters from people. I don't. But when you try to hide your passive-aggressive BS, is this, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan, blah, blah, blah. I don't consider that a fan. Again, we can disagree. Kevin, I didn't like the way you handled it. I really felt like you might want to think about that. Okay, fine. We're going to have a different conversation. But when you tell me, please think before you open your mouth, as if I didn't, the implication is, Kevin, you didn't think. You just started spitting stuff out. Oh, no, I thought about it. Just like I thought about this, Vern.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. We're talking about boldness and what you do. Boldness is the way you approach the things that you know about. Right? If you don't know something about something, you tend to approach it very tepid. You tiptoe around it. One time I had to teach this class, and I just started learning the subject, and IBM goes, hey, Kevin, you seem to know a lot about it. Why don't you go? And I was like, no, I only know this, enough about it to kind of be dangerous. They go, well, we don't have anybody else to go. You're going to have to go. So I go, and I know all the book material, but I hadn't put it into practice, right? And so I'm doing this presentation, and the majority of the people that are there, they haven't even read the book. So I could dazzle them. But there were a couple people there who they knew what they were doing. They had used the product, and, they had tried to program with it and all that, and they were asking other questions. And, so we got into, well, Kevin, are we talking about JDK 1.2 or because we're now at JD, we're like one, I'll use it, that's Java Development Kit. But, we're talking about JDK 1.5 or are we talking about JDK 1.4? And I'm like, well, why do you ask? He goes, because we've been trying to get JDK 1.4 to work. So is there a new one coming out? And I didn't have an answer. And I had never played with the Java Development Kit. I was still, dinking around with 1.2. So, but it was funny how unprepared I felt and how, you aren't bold when you know that the people in your audience know more than you do. It's like a stand-up comic, rookie, and people start to heckle him, and he's like, oh, end of story. So the key is this. You're bold when you know something. When it's been there, done that. You're not fooling me. I got this down, whatever. Donald Trump is bold because this is not that difficult for him. The Barack Obama, really demonstrated no boldness. The only thing Barack Obama was bold about was the idea of, he was bold about his ideology, but it was wrong. He knows his ideology. He didn't feel like it worked, but that didn't matter. He was bold in the ideology, but in the implementation of it, he stunk. Donald Trump's bold in the ideology because he knows it works. That's it. And so my question to you is, are you? People are questioning you all the time. They're questioning you, well, why do you like Donald Trump's tax plan? Or why do you like this thing on immigration? Or why do you like this? Are you bold in saying, here's the reason why? Let me answer it for a lot of people. Sorry to tell you, you're not. You're kind of wimpy. And you're wimpy for all the wrong reasons. You know you're right, but you're afraid. You're afraid of the ramifications. And so the question I'm going to ask you now is, are you going to stay this way? The left wants you to stay this way. They need you to shut up. They need you to let their voices be heard. We silenced them on November the 8th of 2016. You want to talk about a gut punch, a kick in the crotch, call it whatever you want, a hit right on the button. We knocked them the heck out. And then they got up and were like, where's the fight at? Now they're still bold, right? And my question is, do you want to let them up? Do you want to not go back in there and say, oh, you got up and you still think there's a fight? Boop. And are ready to knock them out again. Because if you don't, I promise you, they will pretend the fight never happened. So what's going on right now? Why can we be so bold? Donald Trump's gotten everything pretty much he wants. May not be in the timing that he's wanted. He's used to disappointment. Can't get a building permit or something to do. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the routine, right? You think this guy's not used to some delays? So ask yourself this. This is a guy that builds these magnificent buildings in the middle of the most expensive real estate in the world. And that building, every day that it's not occupied, is costing him thousands, if not millions of dollars. Think about the number of shops and the number of penthouses and apartments and stuff. So I don't know what a typical building would hold, but let's say it's got 500 units. And those 500 units would be sold for a minimum of $5 million each. Somebody wants to do the math, you can. So you've got billions of dollars at play waiting on this building to be finished. And so you can amortize that back and say, how much does it cost me? What is the time value of me not having that $2.5 billion in my bank account doing something else versus it, being in other people's pockets? So that's how Trump thinks. So there may be a delay on the Muslim immigration travel ban or whatever. Travel order is what it really is. But I'll get through the delay. That delay doesn't it costs lives. The Trump looks at it as it costs lives, but those lives are going to be on you, but I'm going to continue to work it. So he went through the process, through the courts. So that's what happened. You can look at that as part of refugee resettlement. We've already seen the outcome of his border policy. Every time somebody comes over, a potential for a job is lost, a potential for loss of American life. The productivity of America goes down every time an interloper comes here and wants to live off the system. Donald Trump sees it as, if I stop illegal immigration and I send a bunch of people home that aren't working and are unproductive, that means that our GDP goes up. He sees the business value of doing that. And he also sees the legality. So that's what you're looking at, a guy who understands all this stuff. The left thinks, oh, he's never going to get his tax reform. Now it's almost become a foregone conclusion. They said, how's he going to drain the swamp? He can't drain the swamp. Look, rhinos are leaving in droves. Flake, Corker, Conyers, Franken, he just bailed out. And there will be many more. He talks about the love of this country. He attacked the NFL kneelers, Kaepernick. They can give Kaepernick all the awards they want. It will not affect what Donald Trump is doing. He's sending a shot over the bow to corporations. He's saying, if you want to do this, you will suffer. And so people, oh, Kevin, I don't understand why he's all in the middle of that. He's in the middle of it because it has to do with Make America Great Again. These guys do not want America to be great, and they want to glorify a guy that hates this country. He's not going to allow it to happen. But you want to know what his biggest accomplishment is? Donald Trump's biggest accomplishment is ignoring the left. Most people, I mean, you're subject to human nature and go, I want them to love me. I want them to adore me. Donald Trump says, they hate me. I know it. They're fake news because they have no reason to hate me. And in doing that, he's saying, I ignore them. You know what? If I got to self-aggrandize, I'll do it. Hey, look at me. I'm great. Watch what I do over here. I'm going to bring these guys back from China. I'm going to bring back some money and trade from China. I'm going to do this over here. I'm going to make the Middle East carry their own debt, fighting the war on terror. Bold and decisive. So we've got border crossings at the lowest level ever. I mean, not ever, but in a long time. People going back home from Mexico, which means the expatriate money that's been leaving the United States no longer leaves the United States. And every one of these policies has a long-range implication. That's what you got to think about. Now, I will say this. I'm not happy with Donald Trump and how he wants to deal with entitlements. I'm not happy with how he wants to deal with Social Security. I'm not happy with what he wants to deal with Medicare. He says we shouldn't touch those. They're sacred cows. And I say sacred cows make the best burgers. So at some point, we can't ignore this mega $1 trillion bubble that's ready to happen. Now, let me tell you why Donald Trump isn't as worried about that as most people. He sees it as, if we get our GDP up to 5-6% and the economy's humming along and we can start to reduce the deficit, then we'll pay down this debt. The level of productivity will rise and we'll be able to pay down. And he's talking true. So he looks at it this way. Think about this. We've made $6 trillion in the stock market or something like that since he took over. He looks at what your house value will be. He looks at getting rid of people that aren't working, bringing in people who are, bringing up people who will. And he's measuring all these numbers and saying, our GDP used to be $14 trillion, give or take. Now it's already rising at 17, 18 trillion. So if we can get our GDP into the $20 trillion range, we can start paying down that debt to the people that have already paid in, so to speak. That's what he's thinking. That's going to take a lot of productivity sustained for that to work. But at least we're moving in the right direction for somebody that says, I don't want to touch those entitlements. So, you know, we're going to have a come to loggerheads, all of us, with Donald Trump on this issue. But right now, I got to give this guy a solid A.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. So there's lots going on. you can only pack so much in a show. And then, you find yourself looking up going, what happened to the time? And it's slipping away. But I do want to first of all, give a shout out to the folks in California. The fires are horrendous. We pray for you guys. I know your politics suck, but you're Americans, and we want you to survive. And hopefully, fires in California seem like, it used to be one a year, once every 2 years, something like that. Now it seems like they're all the time. And I just hope everybody can stay safe. Loss of life is obviously more important than loss of property, but when a house burns, I see those houses burning and I think of the contents. I'm not talking about the furnishings. I'm talking about the things that make up people's lives. And I get nostalgic for that. My aunt, Gertie, died recently, and she remarried a gentleman. His name is Charlie. Call him Uncle Charlie. And when she died, it was I knew she was sick, but it was a bit unexpected. And I called my Uncle Charlie and I was like, hey, can I get my Aunt Gertie was my mother's best friend, first cousins. And every time I would visit my aunt, she'd give me a letter or two from my mom. And it just made me tear up because, it was little things between them. My mom talking about running off to college or, how me and my brother were doing. She's writing letters about me and my brother when she's, traveling around the country when she was married to my deadbeat dad. And it's a little drop of history that I'm never going to get anywhere else. And when she died, because it's not my actual uncle, I called him immediately and said, hey, look, when can I come down and search through that stuff? Because I got to get my Aunt Gertie's stuff. But I see these people's stuff burning. And I say to myself, who's got letters like that they're never going to see? A little bit of your history that goes away. I don't have much. I just don't. I've never been that person, but now I'm starting to get nostalgic. Maybe it's because I'm getting closer to death. Who knows? Did I say that out loud? We all are. It's okay. It's when you get to the point where you're talking about your mortality, you have to be okay with that. There's going to come a day where your clock, stops ticking. And I don't even think about it in terms of legacy and all the things that people think about. I just think about it in terms of, I don't want to make it sound like I want to know more about myself because it sounds so selfish, but I do. I want to read letters. My Aunt Gertie gave me a letter that my mom wrote from when I was a baby, and she's describing, Kevin's not sleeping a whole lot, and he drives me nuts, because he won't just get on a regular routine or whatever. And I'm thinking, there I was, boy, just woo, look at me. It was so fun to read my mom's handwritten letters. There's another lost art form. Starting to get punchy. It's getting to the end of the show. Corey Feldman found the tapes. He said he called the Santa Monica Police Department, to get his testimony when he was filing charges for pedophilia and all this against these people in Hollywood. And they said, we don't have that stuff anymore. And Feldman was like, you got to be kidding me. No. So, I don't know whether it's true or it isn't, because Hollywood, they got big power over there still, even to this day. All these pedophiles, they're out there paying cops off. Hey, man, you keep that stuff private, So who knows? But Corey Feldman says, I was digging through my garage the other day, and I found those tapes, man. Oh, wow. So he's going to release them. Good for him. I'm happy. You know what? You can see when Corey Feldman is talking about this stuff that happened in Hollywood, can't you just feel his pain? He's like, looking back on it, and it's funny when something was wrong and you thought it was wrong, but everybody was like, no, this is cool. And then now he's an adult and he's looking back and he's just rewinding the clock on all the things that happened to him that he was told were okay. And he's going, you know what? I wish I could just reset and just start punching people's lights out. I know that's what he's thinking. I've had stories told when we were, doing a lot with these foster kids. And they tell you these horrible stories, things that have happened to them. And they say it as if, well, but, it's normal. It's normal to be molested by a foster parent. And you're like, no, it's not. And many of the things that test your sensibility, you're like, what? No, that's not what they do. But it is. There are people in the foster system, just so you guys are aware, they love the money and they love children and they manipulate and they take advantage of these kids. I mean, believe me, I'm not going to even take you there because I don't want anybody having these thoughts. But what I will tell you is this. I work hard to get these kids out of foster care and into something real, into real families that love them. It's not good. And that's not to say foster parents are all bad. I'm not saying that. But when they are, oh my gosh, it's horrible stories. What else we got? North Korea. They said war is inevitable. The unmitigated aggression of the great, Donald Trump. I love their language, man. When these guys give a message out, whoa, you got to pull out the dictionary. But they say war is inevitable. One of my friends, he was arguing with me. He says, Kevin, why does Donald Trump go over there in these saber rattles and he's flying planes over North Korea and he's, dispatching ships into the South China Sea and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, why doesn't he just give, North Korea an ultimatum that just says it's very simple. You can have all the toys you want. You can build all the nuclear weapons you want. You can fire them off underground, overground, doesn't matter to me. But the minute you fire off one of those weapons to the United States, you're in big trouble. Now, I tried to explain to my friend that it's not as simple as he's trying to make it. Because, see, we run on 8-year cycles, 4 years, sometimes 8 years. And North Korea says, great, I'll amass all my weapons, and then I'll wait on the next Obama. And I'll hold him hostage. What Trump is doing is saying, I want to push him to the limit right now. Because I'll push him to the limit where I'll do something. And China's going to say, it's okay. They're going to turn and look the other way. Because you know what? The North Korean economy isn't a fraction of what ours is. And, do you really want to go to bat protecting a nutcase like Kim Jong-un? So I love the way, Trump handles these things. Now, my buddy's going, he should just make the ultimatum and we wash our hands of it and that's that. And I go, that'd be okay if Trump were a dictator. Not that I want that, by the way, because people, Kevin wants Trump to be a dictator. No, I'm not saying that at all. I don't want him to be a dictator. I want somebody who's going to be just as hardcore and hardcore conservative to step in, which is a good question. Maybe we should ask this as our question. I mean, you're going to have to call and leave me a message, but 844-551-8255. Who do you think could replace Trump once he's done, when he's run his second term out? Who could replace him? You got any ideas? Right now, honestly, the only person I see replacing Trump, because he's learning kind of how to work the system, is Ted Cruz. He's the only one. That's not to say that there aren't others. Maybe you guys have other ideas. But I say Ted Cruz. So anyway, from a foreign policy perspective, people are going, well, I don't give him a high grade because he's not doing very well on foreign policy. And I go, by what measurement? If you grade President Trump on his foreign policy compared to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and John Kerry, you'd have to give him at least a B. I mean, I'm just saying, has he solved world peace? No. But this move to put our embassy in Jerusalem is a big deal. That's a big thing. His first trip to Poland, rock star. Went out there, glad-handed, made sure people knew the new America. We were going to protect our borders. We were not going to be part of the new world order, et cetera, et cetera. Success. Goes to Saudi Arabia, picks up $350 billion in contracts. Success. That country, in effect, had a small coup. Success. The guys that didn't like him are gone. The ones that like him are there. They're making a turnover. They want to become more of a democracy. So, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do that, but that's what they want. So he got that. He goes to China, or he goes to Asia, and he shores up relationships with Japan, South Korea, the Chinese, and Philippines, etc. I'd call that a win. He's got China at least looking into the situation with North Korea. When it comes to ISIS, you heard anything from them? They're getting their butts kicked. Oh, look, this is good stuff here. Hard to give a guy a 60. This buddy gave him a 60. I said, you do know that's a D, right? Yeah, because it's foreign policy. Oh, so you don't credit him with any of the good things that he's done. You know, the economy and unemployment, et cetera, et cetera. No, yeah. I trapped him. I'm not going to kid you. I trapped him. Anyway, folks, we had a lot to talk about. We didn't get to it all, but we will do it again very soon.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.